Maxim Rosman. I'm a CEO and co-founder of Cambridge Oncometrix, and it's my pleasure to be here. And I'm looking forward to presenting our business case. We are a liquid biopsy platform developer, and we focus our attention on prostate cancer. Our product is a risk stratification test, which will help men suspected for prostate cancer to avoid unnecessary biopsies. Prostate cancer is a global social and health economic problem, and in some parts of the world it is already the most common cancer. We don't know the reason for that, but what we know is that 1 out of 7 boys born today will be diagnosed with this disease once in their lifetime. But many more men in their 30s, 40s, and 50s will become a subject of the prostate cancer diagnostic cascade because of the increased PSA level in blood. Imagine that only 50% of men after MRI and biopsy will turn out to be positive, and without an MRI, up to 75% of biopsies are negative, which means the risk stratification using PSA tests just doesn't work. Another problem usage of the PSA test is that if the cancer is detected, 65% of the time it is at the wrong stage. It is too early, and 30% of the time or too late. So it is a concern for the healthcare, but also for the patients. So there is definitely a need for a test, potentially in between the PSA test and the MRI, which can much better select men for prostate biopsies, and ideally test which will remove men from that pathway. And our solution is a non-invasive clinical test, a centralized laboratory test, which is based on a set of chemical elements, which are the blueprint of a prostate function and change significantly upon presence of a tumor in that small gland. Our test is very fast and has a high negative predictive value, which allows us to select men who can safely avoid biopsy, because for them it's going to be, this biopsy will be negative. According to the health economic study run by University of Leeds, based on the pilot clinical results, just when using in a secondary care, it will save NHS already £20 million a year. And there are other benefits, not only cash, but also action benefits, how they call it. The patient will not go for a biopsy, and resources like MRI are not going to be used. And they can be used for other applications. There are other cancers around. Nowadays, prostate MRI is increasing 13% a year. We would like to use a centralized laboratory service that was actually NHS wants from us, and make use of the fact that our biomarkers are virtually non-destroyable, and samples can be shipped by Royal Mail to our laboratory, and we will report within 24 hours into digital health as a score, which will be used to guide the decision whether or not to proceed with a biopsy. And we make use of the fact that our negative predictive value is nearly 100%, so we don't make any mistakes. So we can tell you that you're healthy, you don't need to go for a biopsy and MRI. If you want to measure the market, we use a PSA as a benchmark, just because it is the only one worldwide accepted risk stratification test. And the two biggest markets are, of course, USA and European Union. In the UK, 500,000 PSA tests are performed for the purpose of risk stratification. Many more tests are performed for monitoring of treatment and repeating PSA, but 500,000 tests is that what we're actually targeting. And the average price of the test is £20. Currently, it is really a standard of care all over the world, the PSA test. But in US, there is a couple of other tests, and I would say we can put them in 3 groups. There are 2 tests, a Phi-score and 4K, which are actually PSA test derivatives, and PSA3 and EPI are derivatives of the PSA3. And actually, PSA3 is normalized on PSA. So basically, it's a very similar test, except for the Select MDX. It is my favorite test. It has a high negative predictive value, and was developed in Europe, is available in US and in Europe, but we beat it we beat the test in the savings because we're much cheaper, and negative predictive value. We currently are in a phase 2 of SBRI contract development with NHS. So we received 1.1 million pounds in total from the NHS, and now we're currently in phase 2 after successful completion of phase 1 last year. And we're going to finish this phase in September this year. And having enough data, we will have enough data. I will get regulatory approval next year and going to supply our first 2,500 tests to the NHS next year. Before we jump into Europe, just using NHS as a brand, and because we run our clinical trial with UCL, with Leeds and with Norwich, and UCL being the absolute flagship in prostate cancer diagnostic, and especially Professor Mark Emberton, who actually installed the MPMRI into the standard of care. So we are targeting to get cash flow positive in year 4, and targeting over 100 million revenues in year 5, and that is only 60% of the served addressable market. So the plan is to start supply tests to the NHS next year as a centralized service, and in 21 as an ISO certified laboratory to Europe, and also in parallel to open a laboratory in US, the CLI laboratory, and then to jump into China in 2022. I am a CEO of the company since 2014. I'm a biochemist, more than 15 years experience. I'm supported with by an experienced CFO, and we have a biochemist. As all people on the slide, they're all paid, and we have a clinical lead who makes sure that the clinical trial runs smoothly. We have a QMS manager, and now spend a lot of resources on the establishing of QMS system in the company in the preparation for the ISO certification of laboratory, which is actually paying for us a lot of work. And we have an adult in the team, which is Erwin Wolf. He's the chairman of the board. He's a very experienced technology executive. He was the vice president at Siemens, CEO at Osram and SGL Carbon and a few other companies. And he actually helps us to structure the company and improve governance and commercial strategy. And I think at this point, I'd like to finish my presentation. If you have more questions, you can find me. I'm around today and tomorrow. Or just drop me a line on the email below. And I thank you for your attention. I'm ready to take your questions.